Hello everyone, welcome back to Simplify Studies. Children, we all have seen rising and setting of sun, changes in seasons, phases of the moon, the rising and falling of the tides, the law of gravity, and so on. The list is endless. Everything in the nature is fixed. Natural occurrence follow laws of nature. Same way, our society also works according to certain laws. These laws are meant for the betterment of the society. In many countries, these rules are laid out in the constitution. So, in this module, we will study about the Constitution of India. Timely changes are introduced in the laws made for the society. For example, the laws followed in India during British rule were different, but after independence the situation changed and laws of society also changed accordingly. The Indian leaders soon took into account the highly diverse nature of the country and formed a constituent assembly in 1946. B.N. Rao, a constitutional expert, prepared an initial draft of the constitution. Then, in August 1947, a drafting committee under the chairmanship of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was set up. The committee prepared a detailed constitutional draft and published it in all the leading newspapers for public discussion. The Constitution of India was finally adopted by the Constituent Assembly on 26 November 1949 and came into effect on 26 January 1950. This day is celebrated as the Republic Day of India. Different countries have different kinds of constitutions. For example, the UK has an unwritten constitution. Then, the USA has the shortest written constitution in the world, whereas the Constitution of India is the longest written constitution in the world. Some important parts of the Constitution are the preamble, the fundamental rights and duties, and the directive principles. Let us start today's session with the preamble of our Constitution. The preamble is the introduction to the Constitution. It clearly outlines the principles based on which our country is governed. The Constitution describes India as a sovereign, socialist, secular, and democratic republic. Now, let us study these terms in detail. Sovereign means India is not ruled by any other country or power. It is a free nation. Next, we have socialist. A socialist government is one that treats the citizen of a country as equal, particularly with regard to the distribution of resources and opportunities. Next, we have secular. A secular government treats all religions equally and does not support any particular religion. Next, we have democratic. It means that people in India elect their own government, and if the people are not happy with their elected leaders, they can remove them from their posts. Now, let us understand republic. A republic is a nation in which the leader or the head of the state is elected by the people. India is headed by an elected president. Unlike Britain, whose head of the state is a hereditary monarch, our constitution also assures justice, equality, liberty, and fraternity to its citizens. These terms outline the objectives of a country. The Constitution thus seeks to create a country where all the citizens are equal before the law, where all the citizens are treated justly or fairly, and where all the citizens have the liberty or freedom to make their own choices. India is a country with great diversity. Our constitution also seeks to promote fraternity or the spirit of mutual support and togetherness. The feeling of fraternity is important for preserving national unity. Now, let us see the fundamental rights. The Constitution of India guarantees several fundamental rights to every Indian citizen to ensure a life of peace, dignity, and harmony. No Indian citizen can be denied of these rights. Let us first understand right to equality. The right to equality assures all Indians that they are equal before the law and have to be treated as equals. Nobody can be denied any right on the basis of their gender, education, social, economic status, religion, race, or birth of place. Next, we have right to freedom. The right to freedom secures freedom of speech and expression. Travel and reside within the country and choose any profession to earn a living. Next, we have right to education. The right to education was added to the Constitution in 2002 and came into effect in 2010. It ensures free and compulsory education for all children between 6 and 14 years of age. Next, we have right against exploitation. The right against exploitation forbids treating someone unfairly for one's own benefit. It prohibits forced labor and the employment of children below 14 years of age in factories, mines, and other harmful jobs. Next, we have right to freedom of religion. All citizens have the freedom to follow and preach any religion of their choice and the right to establish religious institutions. Next, we have cultural and educational rights. Each community has a right to preserve its culture, language, and script and establish its own educational institutions. Next, we have right to constitutional remedies. Right to constitutional remedies seeks to protect the citizens of India against the violation of their fundamental rights by the state. Thus, if fundamental rights are denied to any citizen, they can go to the Supreme Court for the protection and enforcement of their rights. Along with rights, we have fundamental duties also. Rights and duties exist together. Some of our fundamental duties are as follows. The first rule is to follow the rules laid down in the Constitution. Then, to respect the national flag and the national anthem. To defend and serve our country in times of need and danger. To treat all Indians with love, respect, and equality. To protect the environment. And to protect national property like monuments, parks, roads, and so on. Performing these duties is essential for the progress of the nation. Next, we have directive principles of state policy. Our constitution lays down certain guidelines for the government to follow for the welfare of the citizens of India. These are called the directive principles of state policy. Unlike the fundamental rights, the directive principles are not enforceable in a court of law. Some of the important directive principles are as follows. First, providing proper living conditions for all citizens. Providing work for everyone. Ensuring that some people do not become rich by exploiting others. Improving the conditions of weaker section of the society, such as those belonging to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Unlike nature's law, human laws needs to be changed with time. Hence, timely changes are introduced in the laws made for the society. For example, the original constitution did not contain fundamental duties. In 1976, the fundamental duties of Indian citizens were added to the constitution as a part of 42nd Amendment. That's all I have for you today. Do play the quiz. The link of the same is given in the description box. Bye bye and thank you.